you or your kids got these type of gizmos and gadgets running on batteries, which is, very useful because you can bring it anywhere you want, but generally, how often do you actually change the batteries, and how good is it to keep buying new batteries? And if you're anything like me or my daughters, you will not use this for very long because you will simply stop changing batteries. So what to do? Very often this is put somewhere, not actually moved. So why do you need batteries? Why can't you use something else? And initially for one of these gadgets I made something myself, because we all have plenty of these, right? USB chargers with 5-volt output, and can't you use those? So what I did initially was basically put a couple of bits of plastic together, put some metal at the ends, and basically run a 5 or a 4.5 volt gadget straight from a USB. But that doesn't work quite as straightforward for a single or a double battery. So I was looking at building my own little battery converter, and then decided to look online. And of course there are plenty of battery eliminators, as they are called, online. And I bought a few, but there are a few things you need to be a bit careful with and consider. So first, very brief jog your memory. How does it work? AA or AAA cell is 1.5 volt, and obviously if it runs on one battery, that's easy, it's 1.5 volt. You put two of those together in series, you get 3 volts. You put 3 of them together in series, you get 4.5 volts. And that's important to remember. Now, of course, in most gadgets it's 1, 2 and 3 to save space, but ultimately it works together. 1.5 volt, 3 volt, 4 volt. So if you have something like this that runs on 2 batteries, you need something for 3 volt. So battery eliminators, ordered online, very easy. 2 types here. One here that says 3 volt, it has 2 batteries. So that seems straightforward enough, because you just put these 2 in the compartment and it works. Then you have this one, which actually has 3 branches, so you can power multiple things. But there's a trick here, and that is that it depends on which ones you use, how many volts you get. In this one, the one with the wire here, the yellow one, the 5 volt is converted to 3 volts, and the green one basically does nothing, and you just fill the gadget and it works perfectly. However, this one gets a little bit more complicated, and to make life interesting, you have a yellow one here, you have a black one here, and let's open this. Well, these things are always harder to open than you think. You have this green one here. So these all seem very similar. They weigh nothing. There's basically nothing in it. They just look like conduits, whereas obviously you have these other ones with the wire, which also makes it easy. Now, whereas this set with the green one goes simply to 3.5 volt, this set works a little bit differently, because basically, and I checked it with a voltage meter, this one not generates, just simply passes through the 5 volt it gets from your USB charger straight away. So you put this single one in anything that only takes 1 or 2 batteries, so 1.5 or 3 volts, it will poof, blow up. So what I've done is, for a 5 or 4.5 volt application, and most of the things that can take 4.5 volt, 3 batteries, will easily take 5 volts also, so there's nothing happening there. And the 5 volts comes from this battery. And you combined that with these 2 yellow ones, which don't do anything except just pass the conduit, and you can run something, LEDs or whatever, on 4.5 volt, 5 volt with no problem. I wouldn't do it with anything very sensitive, but most of these things are little LED lights or whatnot, works perfectly. However, it can also be used for a dual battery arrangement with this black one. And I checked it, this will generate just under 3 volts. So that means that there's some form of resistor in this black one, which well, basically drops the voltage to 3 volts, and you can use it in something that uses 2 AAs or 3 AAs. They sell the same ones, similar sets. But it means you just have to be very careful with these things. That's all I want to say here, because even though here it clearly says 3 volt, unless you have the memory of an elephant, or unless you have a voltage meter at home, if you have a few of these sets accumulated after a while, which is bound to happen, you're gonna get a little bit confused with what all these are, because this one does nothing, it is just a conduit. This one does nothing, it's just a conduit. But this one actually is a resistor. And this one is 5 volts, but this one is 3 volts. So, just wanting to say, they work. And when they work, it's very cute. Just look at this. Isn't this fun? 3 volt, 2 batteries. It's very cute, but unless you want something to damage or blow up accidentally, just be very careful when you buy these. Make sure that they're labeled, and to some extent that negates the potential advantage of a drawer full of batteries and spent batteries. You want to keep this very clearly labeled and separated, because I won't do it here, but if you accidentally put the 5 volt on here by putting the black wired one with the green one, then all these nice little rabbits, miffies, nijntjes will be gone. So have fun. It saves batteries. It could be useful, but just be careful that you make sure you don't mess your different batteries up.